All right. So last month we did a circle prospecting class, and then I had the idea of, we talk a lot about lead gen. We talk a lot about what are the actions to take and the scripts that you should be saying, but we don't do like a deep dive on, the A through Z. Like you get to the point of taking the action and creating some sort of result from it. Now, how do you carry that over into having listings, databases, ever growing your circle and getting something out of it where you can, constantly and consistently build your business. So it kind of sparked the idea of, let's talk about that because, it's very easy to talk about the easy things and acknowledging easy script and role play and all that. But, we really need to focus on what is it that's the challenging parts in our everyday career, because we have a simple to grasp but hard to master career, which I think is very good because it means it's something that we could all learn and we could all, apply knowledge together to get to there. So specifically for this class, I want to focus on really breaking down whatever script you are using and how to interpret it properly, because I think that's something that gets lost, is that the script is not a word for word interpretation. It's more of a guideline. And how do you interpret your script to make it sound like you? What are going to be the common objections, which I did post a video and I hope a lot of you saw it earlier this week about what objections you get from your scripts. So that's kind of going to be more of a discussion phase. Then we're going to talk about how to take those leads that you're going to generate from your action phase and how to follow up on them and how to consistently market to them. And then finally, how do you close on the business that you generate through those following two steps? So I guess we could start with the script. So whoever feels free to start first, we're kind of mentioning what they're doing and kind of what does the script start with. Like I said, I always teach in our team, and my understanding of scripts is the best analogy to use is it's when you go bowling and you turn on the kiddie safety rails. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to get a strike every time, but it does guarantee that you're going to hit something. And that's the goal when you're making calls. Get something. Get one step further than you being a stranger on the other side of the phone. And I think what happens is there is a lot of agents calling, and when you take a script and you go A through Z saying the exact words that are on the script, you sound like all the other agents that called before, and you give fatigue to the people that are calling because you're always, hey, this is so-and-so with this and that, and this is why I'm calling you. And it doesn't have any service, it doesn't have any value, and it loses people. So I guess I'm going to pick on you first, Connor, because we kind of started this discussion about a week ago. So yeah, I'm going to use you as my test. So tell me, what are you doing specifically right now? What script are you working, and what aspect of prospecting are you doing?
So I had reached out to Ben earlier last week because I was calling into a neighborhood that it felt like a brick wall. Like I had called into a neighborhood like a couple weeks before that, and it just seemed so easy. Every day, same script. I have a buyer just calling to ask if you're looking to sell. If I wasn't getting somebody looking to sell, they were super open to at least getting a market evaluation. Like they were engaged and interested in what I had to offer. This other one was not. It was, I was struggling, again, it's kind of same script, but I was just struggling even getting through past my kind of opening line. And Ben and I talked about, like, it was just a little long-winded. It's a neighborhood that they've probably been getting hit nonstop because the values are so much higher than maybe what they should be, or whatever the reason is. They're just being heavily farmed. So we both decided, like, keep it simple, direct, and to the point, which was helpful. After we did talk, I did find one person who, after discussing it with her husband, she's like, yeah, we decided, like, we'd love to sell.
Awesome.
Yeah, which was really great. It turns out, and for those of you who don't know, I'm just the ISA. I'm just setting up appointments for my team leaders, Justin and Shelby. Um, so with these people, they actually already had a connection with this buyer, but they probably wouldn't have put two and two together because they're not like super close friends. They're just acquaintances. Um, but so I did create, this is my flow chart.
I love it. I love it.
I, you know, and it's just kind of to help me. Okay, here I start here. This is like, their response to their objection. And it
Yep.
allowed me to kind of just easily guide, okay, now bring up this point.
Yep.
It's probably a little wordy. I can probably just break it down to bullet points just because my other point is that, yeah, when I get into it, I've been doing it for like an hour or so, I do tend to lose my personal tone, like
Yep.
my own personality in it. And
And
then
that's very important to try to keep that as much as you can, because people sort right through it when you sound like you're scripting or when you sound like you're actually making the calls.
sure, yeah. And like I'll realize that I sound like somebody that I would hang up on.
Yep.
And then I might just like close out that dialing session, take like just a step away, just kind of take a break from it, and then come back to it. Uh,
Yep.
so after I found that one house, I think got two more market evaluations.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. And it's funny because I was had this shift myself this morning of, a lot of the time we look at just the actions, but we don't look at the result, where it's kind of important to think like you're already committing to making the calls, right? So you got to look at, okay, what am I saying? How am I saying it? Because what I want is I want that result. I want a listing appointment. I want an evaluation. I want a new database. I want there to be a reason why I'm calling people. And I think that's the trickiest part about interpreting the scripts is taking that and putting it in a way where when I'm calling somebody, I have a reason to call them. I have a reason for them to stay on the phone with me, and I have a reason for them to need me in the future, rather than it just being like the simple, hey, I got this. Do you need it? No? Okay, I'm in a brick wall and it's useless. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Which, kind of breaking down. So I'll give like the Cliff Notes version. So Connor is attacking some neighborhoods with a very easy but very usable script when you have this opportunity of he has clients that specifically want to be in a certain neighborhood that has a low inventory situation, which I think right now is the easiest position for any agent to be in, because it opens the door of, if I do have a buyer and they do like that specific neighborhood, that's awesome because I have a chance to get both sides of the commission. If I take but it's important to have somebody to take there, because this is where the most powerful part of it happens. If you could portray that to the seller of having that buyer and you take them to the property, you actually take a buyer to the property, and then you have that follow up with the seller. Listen, this was not the right home, but let me ask you, you obviously had enough interest to let me into your property to talk about selling. They might not be the right buyer. I might not have the right buyer, but I could find the right buyer and open up that conversation. And that's something where I threw that to Connor of, I know how Justin and Shelby do their business. I know they would take a buyer. If they have a buyer, they'll take a buyer at 10 properties in that neighborhood if you could get them in that neighborhood. And that just opens the door. Listen, it wasn't right, but look at what we did. Look at what my team does and how my team does it. How about we list your property? But you have that opportunity now, because now not only did you talk to them about something of value, but you showed that you had the time to commit to going to their property and having that meeting with them. They're like, whoa, this guy's the real deal. And that's the same thing that you could use that same aspect on FSBOs, on expireds, but that's the difference that's splits you from that. I'm just calling and now I'm going to try to market to you. and hey, look, I'm doing stuff in the market, and we could do something together. Because obviously you're having that conversation, they'll let you in the house. They have some sort of concept of selling. You know, strangers aren't going to let other strangers in their house for absolutely no reason. You know, there has to be some sort of seed of I want to sell. Otherwise, you know, like if I called Lori right now and I told her, hey, Lori, I have a buyer for your house, but Lori doesn't want to move. She's not going to let me with a stranger in her house for no reason. You know, there's some subconscious, concept of, you know, I'd sell, and it's up to us as agents. You know, we're in a service aspect business. It's figuring out what is that need that the client has and how can we service it. So I personally really love that script. I've had at this point, I think 2 or 3 listings over since I first joined Dan's team from that exact same script. Hey, I have a buyer. There's a lack of inventory. You know, would you look at selling or seeing an offer for your property? Yes. Okay. Can I come tour the property with my buyer and see if it's the right fit? And it's very simple. You're providing somebody with a value. So I think Connor had a really strong interpretation of his script, which, like I said, there's nothing worse than sitting down and reading a script A through Z on the phone 100 times a day, every single day, and then wondering why you don't have a result, because it's like you're putting in the work. It's you have to be you. That's the biggest thing when it comes to prospecting, which is the easiest concept to grasp and the hardest to master. It needs to be you. Like, I'm high energy. Connor might not be the same level of high energy. So if he sounds like me on the phone, he won't get the results that I will. And if I sound like him on the phone, I'm not going to get the results that he does, because we're 2 different people. So it's really figuring out, okay, what is lead? Who is lead? Okay, how do I take lead? And Lee is going to be himself 100% on the phone call, and people can feel it. You know, we're all humans, so we all have that same, intuition. We all have that same emotional value of understanding when a person's coming to you from adding value, from sincerity, and being a real conversation. I think that's the highest level that you want to achieve with all your calls is people understanding that you're being real. And when you break through that wall and you do that, it's incredible. We have a new inside sales agent on our team, and it was a long process of her understanding the script and making it her own. But what happened was watching this growth from week 1 to say week 5 of interpreting the script, practicing the script, adding a little bit each and every time, and then watching when this like walls break down of, hey, this is the person that was in the inside that needed to speak to these people. And then having that come out and watching it go from like there was 1 appointment every 2 sessions to 2 appointments every single session of somebody wanting to speak, because you're coming from sincerity. I think that's the most important part, which it looks like Connor's striking on that now, because you're getting some conversions.
Yeah. And like, I'm still in the point where like it's it's kind of coming and going.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm zeroing in on what works and what doesn't. And, and also the realization that like, not every person is gonna look to sell or do anything. Like there's really nothing you can say or do to change that.
You can't sell somebody on selling their house.
Right.
It's always I look at it as and I meant to touch up on this at the beginning of the call, and it kind of completely slipped my mind. So my background before I got into real estate, I was in the car business. And in the car business, when you first meet a client, there's a thing called a needs analysis, right? Which I feel it's funny because you do that on a $30,000 purchase of a car, but for $500,000 on real estate, we're just so like focused on that big number and oh my God, it's a commission check, that you don't stop for a second and like really look at it. Does this person even need me? Because I can't sell you on selling a $500,000 house. I can convince you that if I'm selling you a car, I can convince you that $300 a month is, it's not bad. Yeah, I'll take a car for $300 a month, but I can't convince you that a $500,000 house for you to sell right now is the best decision for you, because that's where you sleep every night. That's where your family was raised. So it has to be is there a need and how can I service it conversation. So I think that's like a really important part, touching on you saying that the realization that not everybody's going to sell, not everybody's going to need your service. And that's what you want to get to in the most professional and quickest manner of, does this person need to be on the phone with me or not?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I'm just gonna go down the line then how I got the grid. Jenna, what are you calling, and what is the script you're using?
Well, I've done some stuff with you guys, and I continue to do the same kind of a thing with my ads. So I'm running loads of ads. I stopped for a few weeks because I was away, but it's all basically, if I do an open house, if there's something new on the market, I advertise it, and then I call whoever's interested and left their information, just kind of seeing if they have any interest in purchasing, or they're looking for that specific home. So some people, have a conversation with you. Some people say, "Oh, I just like to look at houses," and that ends there. And some people I put on the search, and I have loads of them. So my plan now, because I was away and it was end of the year, kind of a slowdown, I'm going to go down the list of the people that I've touched base with and was set up on a search, and just kind of call them back and see where they're at now. Because I had a couple of people that was saying, I want to just wait until next year, sometime around spring. So I think it's a good time to just call everybody now and see where they're at.
Yeah, especially if I know the leads on those kind of ads can be kind of like, they're iffy. Sometimes they're good and you get great contact information. Sometimes they're bad. But I think if you could really, build a database out of them and have those leads that you're constantly marketing to, and constantly they're on smart plans, you're sending them emails, you're calling them, they're really strong, because the people, like you said, that say they're ready next year, having that quarterly conversation with them, and meanwhile they're getting an email from you or a text from you, or you even write them a handwritten postcard or something, it's strong. And question pivoting off of that, do you have a script that you use for that, or do you kind of just
No, I do. It's a script that you gave me, and I've kind of adjusted a little bit to sound myself. And like you said, you start with a script, but then it goes off because everybody has different needs. They have different questions. So
exactly,
staying in a script, sometimes, you can't just continuously reading what's on it, because they're like, that I didn't ask you that. So every conversation is different, because then some people want to know a little bit more about the market. Some people want to know, why the price is so high, they're going to come down. Some people, got different needs. So script changes from one person to another one.
Yep. And that's why that's the biggest part of this section of the class of script interpretation is so important, because there's nothing worse than you're going to be going through a script and you have a specific pattern, and somebody asks you something off of your pattern and you get stuck, because then any credibility that you were building is all gone, because you're at the point where it's like, okay, this person knows one thing and one track, and that's it. That's why it's, it is a daily practice of, you don't want to practice on the public. You want to, let me read my script. Let me role play my script. If I'm not in a team and I'm not working with somebody, who can I sit down with that's going to be my accountability partner and my role play partner, where, it has to be a daily activity. There's a certain number of things that get done as a real estate agent: role playing, scripting, prospecting, follow up, and closing deals. If you have, and actually I didn't even count that to happen like that, but you have 5 fingers on the hand to do all the tasks that you need to do in one day. So it's like, if you're not doing those tasks, you got to figure out why you're not doing them and how can you factor that in. I recently was playing around with my schedule to really iron out my time for my prospecting and my follow-up. And I was challenged by Dan of, you can do everything you need to do in a day, production-wise, to find new business between 8 o'clock in the morning and 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So I really sat down with that concept of, let me do it and let me see what happens. And when you're hyper-focused into that, I did my role play, I did my scripting, I did my prospecting, I did my follow-up, I did my closing, and then you watch what happens in that tight timeline. and then you see that you still have the rest of your day, you're like, oh my God, I can go crazy on this now. But it all stems off of, you know, doing that first step and taking that first, let me role play, let me script. Okay, I understand what I'm saying. Let me talk to people. I talk to people. Let me follow up now. Let me close them. And you know, that's it all starts with, you know, like you said, you took the script and you made it your own to have those conversations. Who wants to talk about the market? Who wants to talk about buying? Who wants to talk about selling? Maybe there's a weird in-between conversation that you got to be ready to have with somebody to further that next step. You know, as agents, you know, you're professional friend makers. You know, you got to be able to make friends with anybody, any random person. Just shake hands and, hey, we have something in common.
Yeah, so true.
Awesome. All right, Lee, what are you calling it, and what kind of script are you using?
Newly calling for sale by owners, and I'm working with that John Prescott. I don't know if you saw that immediate income class.
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, his is more of an in-person door knock. Your basic call is just like, hey, Ben, is your house still for sale? Great. Yep. When can I see it? And then you go over there and you basically start building rapport with them up to 8 weeks. So it's a drawn out process.
Okay. But it definitely works, especially if you're doing like a Keller Williams 8x8 in that 8 weeks, you're definitely going to get some results out of it. So what is your daily looking like for setting up those appointments?
I pull the lists, you call them in the morning and see who's available, who's not. A lot of them are working. They're normal people. So you can't see the house until late in the evenings or weekends.
Okay.
So
and how long have you been doing this now?
Just started in the new year. So it's only going in what, 3 days now, 4 days. That's really like called into it. Pushed with that. I've called in the past, but it was like hit or miss because I'm not really focused on it. So I wasn't.
Yeah, if you're gonna it's funny because regardless of what form you commit to of what you're gonna do for prospect, it needs to be a full commitment, because anything you're gonna do, circle prospecting, FSBOs, expireds, Zillow leads, whatever, it all requires prospect follow-up close, prospect follow-up close. So if you do it for 3 days and nothing happens and then you stop, it doesn't matter which one you're gonna use, but it's good that you're ironing out what you're gonna do. How's the result been for the 3 days? I mean, FSBOs, I imagine it's gonna be easy to get into the door because they want to sell. How have you been looking at it?
It was weird, like hit or miss. Like Monday was a good day. Tuesday was like nobody was answering or calling me back. Yesterday was pretty decent, like almost everybody picked up. And then today, this morning was pretty good. So this weekend, I have a lot of appointments to go out on and you know, do that first initial touch and hello, check out the house and give that piece of value, and I'll see how it goes.
And what kind of delay are you putting between the phone call to the appointment?
Well, usually I want to try to see it that day, if not the next day. You want to put urgency.
Yeah, ideally, you want to try to be in front of them within the first 24 hours of you talking to them.
Right. So a lot of them will tell you, no, I can't until late in the evening, or no, you can see it this weekend. So I'm like, okay. So I'll set it up to that point. And then I'll go give them, like, the first thing he said to give them was like a seller's disclosure, a non-branded seller's disclosure. Like, hey, I didn't know if you need it, but you hand them that.
Here you go. Has anybody ever reviewed this with you? No. Okay. Let me show you how this works. Yeah. Coming from contribution, you know.
So then the next week is another piece of value. And then, you know, every time you're trying to close them to list with you, but in the meantime, you're coming from contribution. So you build that rapport, trust.
Exactly. You're doing a two, I was going to say two-parter, but it's really 3 parts. You're building rapport, you're staying constantly in front of them, and you're making the task of selling your property on your own daunting, because there's all these forms that they've never seen before in their life. So you're coming from contribution in the sense of like, hey, look, I'm just here to help you. And then they look at the forms and they're like, oh my God, I have no idea what any of this is. How do I fill it out? What does this mean? What does that mean? I mean, like, let's be honest, we're all realtors. I think some of us go out to do listings and you have the property disclosure and you're just like, listen, I don't know what this means either. So let's just check don't know. You know, let's move past it. So it's like, think about it. If we don't know what it is and we went to school for it, I mean, how bad is it going to be for somebody who has, you know, no education on it? It's going to be horrible.
Absolutely. So that's
But
one part. And then still, working on the buyers and following up on leads. I've been calling those.
awesome.
And right now is a perfect time. It's an easy conversation. My first thing, like people that used to be short with me or hang up, the first thing I'm out is like, hey, Happy New Year. It's Lee from Keller Williams. And their next response is like, oh, Happy New Year. And they kind of like get caught off guard. And then they'll talk to me.
And that's the other thing. It's very hard for even somebody who's angry when you come to them with a positive attitude. It's hard for them to continue being a terrible person. Let's just put it that way. Like there's always going to be the Grinch that's on the phone. There's nothing you can do about it. But when you have that upbeat, hey, this is Lee. How are you doing? I want to talk to you about blah, blah, blah street. Is this a good time? How's your morning going? It's going to be hard for somebody to just, cuss you out or hang up on you or something, because you're like, you're giving them energy and they're like, oh, okay, maybe I'll talk to this guy, but that's good. That's good. So how would you, I'm not familiar with that particular like scripting or the aspect. It seems like it would be simple where you're kind of just, let me tour the property, but how would you say your interpretation and your, putting yourself into that script is going with that particular method?
For FSBO side or?
For either or, for the FSBO side or for the buyer side.
Well, most of it is just coming from, one, you have to be confident or appear to be confident. So they know you're capable of doing the job. And then, like they say, they got to know, like, and trust you. So if I don't know something, I say, I don't know. I'll have to find out for you. Is it okay if I get back to you? I'd rather tell you something truthful than make it up.
That's something that I learned at 18 years old in the car business, and it's stood true through entirety. If somebody wants to actually do business and they ask you a question that you don't know and you reply to them with, listen, to be honest, I don't have the right answer for you. I'd rather take the time and get the right answer. Is that all right if I come back to you with that? And if somebody says no, they weren't going to do business with you anyway. And if somebody says yes, you're only going to earn rapport with them because they're like, listen, this guy would rather, tell me out front that he has no idea, but go get it for me. And instead of, BSing me and telling me something that I want to hear or making something up on the fly, which I've always taken that aspect, and I can tell you it's never backfired on me.
So, but that's mine. And that's always been kind of my strong suit, is to be in front of them. And with COVID, it's kind of put a damper on that. So
yeah,
getting back into that is good.
Yeah, which it's just a different switch with COVID. You just got to switch up what you're doing. We're a year into it at this point, so it's like you got to be finding your niches and sticking to them and pushing on them. You know what I mean? Like I've really focused since joining Dan's team. I want to do as much on the phone as humanly possible. If I can get a listing completely on the phone and not have to go to the property, I'm going to do it. If somebody sounds confident when they're telling me the condition of their property and I can do it all on the phone and I only have to show up when I got to take the pictures, I'm doing it. If somebody sounds wishy-washy about telling me about remodels and stuff, I want to go to the house because I had a bad experience. I overlisted the property because I went over the phone. Mind you, I did end up selling the property and still above what I would think what the value would be after seeing it. But after that, I'm like, listen, if somebody does not sound like 100% my house is Taj Mahal and it's perfect, then I want to see it before I list it. But I want to get literally, if I can get to 98% of where I want to be over the phone, I'm going to push it. And we're actually in an environment right now where you could almost run a full listing side business all over the phone without ever seeing anybody. Just because that, people are scared of it. And if you could set yourself up in a way that you provide all that value, through email, through Zoom, through text, through whatever you got to do, people will let you. People will let you. Before it's like, I don't know you, you're a stranger. Now they're like, listen, send me a DocuSign, we'll do it. Especially I'm very open with people. I don't have a termination fee on any of my listings. I'm very open with people. I said, listen, I'm going to put my marketing dollars in front. I'm going to put my time in front. And if you feel I suck at my job, you can fire me at any time. And I'm okay with that because my job is not for you to have to pay me for something. My job is to sell your property and I get paid for putting money in your pocket. And that is like the biggest wall breaker when somebody's kind of like wishy-washy on a listing. I'll tell them that open. Hey, I don't charge anything. And I put my money where my mouth is, and I go in front to make sure that I'm delivering a result that nobody else is. And it's just the market we're in, man. You like really got to be confident with people, because people are like, they're looking at the news, they're looking at Zillow, they're looking at Redfin, and they're freaking out. You know, over here, people are blowing things up and taking over buildings. Over here, Zillow's telling them crazy stuff. And then they're talking to their neighbors, and one neighbor's a Democrat, one neighbor's a Republican, and they're all fighting in the streets. And you're trying to clear it out, like, dude, I'm just trying to sell some real estate in the middle here. You know, like, so that you got to be that ray of sunshine, man. Like, listen, I don't know what's going on in the world, but I know what's going on with your property. But that's cool. That's cool. Awesome. So it sounds like you kind of you got your grasp on what you're doing.
Yep, ready to make 2021.
Let's see it, man. I want to hear about it. I want to do these classes on like the regular, like once a month. So I want to hear what is that FSBO working out to. I want to see. We got basically a whole month. I want to see you get 2 listings out of that.
Okay.
All right, Lori. I'm not sure what you do from your day to day, but I know it's going to be spicy. So let's hear what we got.
It's so funny you brought up people blowing up buildings. I was making calls yesterday. I don't turn the TV on during the day.
Yep.
And there were 2 people who, you know, in my conversation with them, and they said, well, our world is coming to an end. It's ridiculous. I'm going, and here I am saying, how is everything? And, you know, talk about who do they know who wants to buy or sell a home? And I'm like, I better figure out what's going on. There's something happening out there in the world. Yeah. So I put the news on. I'm like, I can't call people and ask them if they want to sell their house right now. So my mindset was just totally distracted for that. But my conversation, and I call my farm area and my sphere. And most of our people are older. And so my initial greeting to them is, hey, it's Lori with the Shira team. I'm just calling to check in to see how you're doing. So that's the first thing I ask them, is it's a check-in. And then, you know, I listen to them and glad everything is good. Hey, are you interested in hearing some good news for a change? And they go, yeah. I go, guess what? Your property value has increased a lot over the past 6 months. Are you curious how much your home is worth? Mm-hmm. And that's the conversation I have, and to sort of gauge if they have any interest in moving into anything else, or if not, to offer them to set them up on Neighborhood Nurture and to check in with them from time to time. If they want a very customized market valuation, to set up an appointment to do that. So mine is all about the relationship. It's about providing information of relative, you know, timely value to them, and just to let them know that I'm here, I'm monitoring things. If they have any questions at all, please feel free to call me. Do you know how to reach me? Do you have my number? Do you know where to find my number? Things like that.
And I love it because it's very similar. It's different, but it's similar to what I do with the circle prospecting. Almost like, hey, I'm your neighborhood realtor and you haven't met me yet. So like, let's talk about it. Whereas, you know, you already have your different spheres, your different neighborhoods, your databases. So I almost feel like that would be, it's easy because these are people that have more than likely have already heard from you, correct?
Correct. They know my name.
And that's awesome. That's the best, because you have that personable touch. And I think that's something that I'm actually focused on highly this year, is building that database and, you know, milking the smart plans of, you know, staying constant with these people to the point of, you know, I can have that database that talks to me all the time. Because I honestly, you know, after looking at a whole bunch of different Keller Williams models on the follow-up and your databases and work in your sphere, I think that's where it's at. You really need to have your prospecting as 50-50. You know, I want to find new people and I want to keep the people that I have. And that, you know, I think that's one of the best things. On those market evals that you're doing, are those in person, or are those all over the internet?
It depends. It depends how the conversation goes. If they go, you know, yeah, I'd be curious. I'm not moving, but I'd be curious. Then I don't need to be in person in their home. If there is a desire to consider downsizing, for most of them are downsizing, not upsizing, then I really would love to be in front of them in person. If they are not comfortable having me in their home, I do try Zoom, but a lot of them get very intimidated by trying to do a Zoom. So, you know, it depends. I have to have a toolbox of options for them.
of course, tailor fitted, very like boutique style for whichever client it is, which I think is awesome. I mean, that's how I lean all of my conversations is always, I want to at least get somebody, market data in front of them, because I've found a lot of the times the people that will tell you that they're not interested in doing anything, they have no idea where the market is.
Yeah.
And they see the numbers, they're like, at that, I'll sell my property today. So that's awesome. I love that strategy. I love that strategy. It's very close to what I do. So for me, I think there's literally no better way to get business, Joe. Just constantly be talking to people, constant conversations that have some sort of value.
But I agree with you, Benjamin. It's, 50% of my conversation should be just, resecuring the people in my sphere and my farm. And I really do need to be expanding with new conversations and people who I have not spoken to. I'm not really sure. I have not really established if that's going to be starting a new farm or something else. I'm not sure, but we have talked about starting a couple of other farm areas. So it might be that.
And that's necessarily something I haven't done yet of a farm area. Kind of how I've been doing it and what's been getting successes. And it's funny because we do kind of have one farm, at least one that I could think of off the top of my head, that we've done repeated business. But we sit down and we look at, okay, what do we have on the market? What do we have that's pending, and what do we have that's closed? And really pick out, okay, we have this neighborhood. Let's pull the whole list and let's talk to everybody, because we have something to share with them. And those are the easiest conversations to have. Listen, I have a listing that just went active in your neighborhood. It's going to be going for a really high value, which is going to be awesome for you. Just wanted to check, is there anything real estate wise that I can help you with? When it goes pending, call them again. When it gets closed, call them again. And so I wouldn't necessarily say that we're doing that on farm aspect, but the long story to your branching off of opening new farms, I think that's the easiest and the most, you have a reason to talk to somebody way of, what deals do you have that are out of your farm, and where would you want to do more business? I mean, I've been taking the buy side deals that we do and calling those neighborhoods, hey, we represent the buyer. Did you know what your neighborhood's going for? Here's what it's going for. Can we help you with anything? And we're getting listing appointments out of that and opening into new neighborhoods. Actually, one of my listings was circle prospecting one of Betty's buy side deals, and I got a listing within the first week of calling that. So it works. It does awesome
work. That's
and then you build those farms that you add into your database and into your sphere, which just starts stacking up more and more. Cool. All right, Andy, you've been coming in all week, so I know exactly what you're working on. I see exactly what you're growing on. How do you feel from Monday until today, your interpretation of expired scripts has grown?
Yeah, it's definitely grown, getting a lot more comfortable, and just getting over the rebuttals, and pretty much just knowing where you're gonna go. A lot of times I'm just going off, everywhere. So just putting everything together like we talked about this morning. Yep.
Awesome. Andy has been doing the most important part, committed to doing the prospecting. And it's cool because I have like a little office, but I always call it in the main area. Easier for me. I like to stand up when I'm making calls, and plus my office has a horrible echo and terrible signal. But listening to Andy do his calls every day, he's getting more and more confident with every single call. And I think that's the most important thing that everybody has to do, is just take the action. And every day you'll step up one step further and further. Cool. I'm guessing, is that Larry Parker? Is he just sitting here for the viewers, or actually a Larry behind the Larry?
I think that might be Larry Newcomer. I'm not sure. I really don't know.
Okay. Well, if you're here, you're here. You can open up the mic if you'd like. I went really drawn out with talking about the scripts. I just realized what time it is. I get carried away sometimes. Vinny,
If it was Larry Newcomer, you would see his picture.
Yeah, I thought so too. I think that it's
Right.
Larry.
It's a different Larry. It might be Larry Parker.
Vinny,
Yo,
what's going on, boss?
another day in paradise, man.
Awesome. So how's I know you got everything going on with your coaching, but I'm sure knowing you got some prospecting going on too.
Absolutely. I got to keep
How's
production
that go?
going. So for me, it's been great. For me,
Okay.
it's been great because I've taken the stance of calling even earlier than everybody else. And so
Awesome.
by the time I got into the office to do the daily data this morning, I had already had 5 conversations with expireds. So,
Sweet.
you know, you call early and you're the first one who calls them and you let them know what's going to happen with the rest of their day. And they appreciate that. So that's all good. And
How has your result been from it?
and so say again.
How has your result been from doing the earlier calls?
Oh, it's been great. It's been great being able to have more conversations, being able to direct them in what's happening and getting the information that I need. And of course, you know, setting up follow-up plans. This morning, I set 2 follow-up plans with expired. So
Cool.
yeah, absolutely. You know, so it's
Awesome.
just a matter of doing it earlier. What I'm finding is calling the expireds earlier and calling the for sale by owners later has been working a lot. So the midday to late day for sale by owners has been better.
Yeah, because if you were to flip that around, you're getting on the late end on the expireds. And
Oh yeah, now they're angry.
Call number 10.
Yeah.
Hey, this is with Keller Williams. Done. You don't even get to talk.
If it's even answered at that time, if it's even answered, you know, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, I know back from our Lions Den days that we don't got to talk about your script interpretation because you're a walking script. We don't even got to mention that. So I guess we can roll in 3 topics all into one. So let's briefly go. Is there anybody that has any particular objection that has been stumbling them, holding them back that they want to talk about? Nope.
None.
Nobody has any objections?
None.
It's hard.
You're all just booking the listing appointments without problems like this.
I still get objections. I mean, there's,
Really?
you know,
That's impressive.
I get I think the most common one, like I already talked to you about the one where, you know, they'll be like, yeah, I'll sell right now for X amount, which is like
50,000 over value.
Oh
yeah.
like
anybody would.
It's usually like 100,000 over.
Yeah.
And
still book that appointment every time.
Yeah, and Ben, he said, like, you just say, look, I don't want to give you the wrong information, but let me set you up with my listing agent and have him talk to you about it. But of course, after I asked you that, like, I didn't get that objection anymore.
So you don't even know
I haven't had the chance to use it. But no,
I promise you it works. I use that in my daily. Listen, I want to look at it. I don't want to tell you yes or no. I want to look at everything in the market and just tell you what the market would come back at.
Yeah. No, but I think the most common one is the one that's like most common and like not like they're not angry. They're just like, no, I'm not looking to right now, but just not right now. And then I'll follow up with like, okay, so you say not right now. Does that mean you're looking to sell in the future? Do you have an idea, like 3, 4, 5 years? And they'll give me a time frame, and then I'll try to lead it more towards like market evaluation or, but then I still can't break through with that.
I had that same thing. So I'm calling a neighborhood that I recently sold a property in. It's 55 plus. So I already got one thing going for me. It's older clientele, which is always, you have to slow down and you have to like really have that value. And plus, they don't want to talk to you. They're enjoying their life at that point. So I've been having these conversations. Same thing. I don't want to sell. I don't want to move. It's my last house, or I'm not going to sell for a while. And just go straight into getting a database for a monthly neighborhood nurture. Listen, I understand you're not looking to sell now, maybe not even ever, but I'd love to keep you up to date. I do a monthly email that comes out. I promise you it's not spam. It keeps you up to date specifically in your neighborhood, what's going on. I'd love for you to receive that. Is that something that you'd like to get in your email? Yes, no, maybe so. Just move on. Yes, great. What's the best email? No, awesome. No, no hard feelings. Have an awesome day. You know, but those, right? That all stems off of what I was going to talk to next about follow-up. That puts something that now you have a reason to call that person quarterly. Hey, you've been receiving my emails. Just want to touch base with you. I don't know if you remember me. We talked a couple months ago. You know, the market's going in this way, that way, or the other way. Is there anything I might be able to help you out with now? And it's just something to touch up with them, and they're receiving emails from you, and they have your number on there, and they're seeing something, and it's better than the other 12 people that called them when they said, no, I'm not selling anything, and they said, awesome, have a great day, and walked away.
Right.
You know, you're already taking the most time-consuming and the most like painful part of being a real estate agent, of picking up the phone and talking to people. Now you have to value your own time and tell yourself when you're going that, I'm getting something. I'm getting something from this person because I took my time to pull the list, to turn on my dialer, to call these people, to put a smile on my face, to put the clothes on during the day, that I'm going to walk in with my confidence to talk to these people. I'm getting something. I'm not coming here for no reason. You know, if I was coming here for no reason, I'd be going to McDonald's and working at McDonald's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Connor, quick question for you. You catch somebody that's, no, we're not going to be selling right now. And you say, okay, well, the next 3, 4, or 5 years. And then they say, yes, right? They say, they give you a time frame like you mentioned, you know, because generally what happens is where I take the conversation when they say, no, not right now, you know, just a few years down the road, you know, or I have the opportunity to ask them that question, not right now, not in the next year. Fantastic. How about in the next 3 to 5 years? You know, well, yeah, that's more along the lines. Okay, fantastic. Well, listen, I'm going to be in business in the next 3 to 5 years. And I would love to just give you an update on the market and just keep in touch with you. So that way, when you're ready to pull the trigger, you're actually in contact with, you know, one of the top agents that's producing here in Boynton Beach. How does that sound? Okay, so from there, you're easily just saying, hey, look, I'm not a short timer. I'm a long timer, whether it takes 3 to 5 or 5 to 7 or whatever. And you let them know you just want to stay in touch with them. So that way, when they're ready, they have a connection with an agent, because that's the biggest piece of it, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember the statistic. It's over 85% of the people will hire the first agent that they meet or take it off of a referral without interviewing several agents on what they can do for them.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're that agent because you called them. You're even more of that agent because you put them on a neighborhood nurture smart plan and you gave them a quarterly call and just asked them if anything has changed, right?
Yeah.
Hey, are you receiving my neighborhood nurture? Yeah, fantastic. All right, do you have any questions about it? No. All right. You said you were going to be selling in, 2025. Has anything changed to move that time frame up? No. All right, fantastic. Well, listen, you have a great day. Thanks for taking my call, and I appreciate you. Right?
Yeah.
And so now you got pipeline going. Make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think I need I got to get with, Justin and Shelby and like we've got some I think I need more like a specific smart plan and just action for creating, like a follow-up database.
Yeah.
And just a more specific smart plan, to help with all these people that, aren't ready now,
Right.
but they're going to be, ready in the future.
Because you guys have a bunch of people in Vulcan, right?
Yeah.
Do you have them all in command?
I take any of the people that I've spoken to or have, at least some kind of conversation with, I will put into command.
But you haven't done a big CSV from Vulcan up into command and just have everybody there?
No, because some of the information that Vulcan pulls, specifically the emails, aren't always up to date. I think like maybe a handful of times when I've collected an email from somebody who wants a market evaluation or something like that, it actually matches what's in Vulcan.
Okay.
So it might just be a past email that they've used. So And, you know,
You
some
want to
people,
put more clean data into command, because
Yeah, for sure.
Vulcan's more of what you're going to use to sort through, and command's going to be like your fine tooth comb, like, okay, where can I find some now business?
yeah,
I think the concept, what Vinny was mentioning, kind of where you want to go is having those people on some sort of, anybody that doesn't have an actionable step, how do I create the next actionable step? You know, 5 years from now, awesome. You're gonna have emails, calls in between, text, postcards. Justin's gonna send you the cool little yearly thing that shows how many properties he sold, and show you that we're that team. We're that
Yeah.
team that when 5 years comes, you don't even have to question who you're gonna work with.
yeah.
Cool. And then I guess we can kind of wrap up the next two into one topic and kind of try to make it a Cliff Notes version. So now, everybody has their methods for prospecting and understanding of what they're going to do and understanding of their objections. And it sounds like everybody's taking their action steps. Now you're going to create all these leads. It's important, kind of how Vinny mentioned, I guess we could kind of shorten this up with the fact that Vinny already kind of touched up on it. You want to put those people in a command. You want to have smart plans created for them to generate those next actionable steps, because you want to take all those leads that you generate and make sure that you're not like putting the time in vain. Okay, I made one call and that's it, I'm gone. You want to have that next follow-up. Do I have to send you an email, a postcard? What I personally do and what we're building for the team is an internal follow-up smart plan. Okay, Vinny's in my database in command. Vinny was talking to me about selling his property. What are my next follow-ups for the next, 4 weeks that I'm talking to you all the time until we decide, is this a now thing or a later thing? And then there's a step. Is it the now thing? Awesome. It becomes business. It goes to the next stage of opportunity. Is it a later thing? There's another smart plan now. For how do I take Vinny into a later thing and stay current with him, right? And that follow-up tiers into a close, because let's be like I mentioned earlier, you're not going to close anybody on selling their house as like Vinny wasn't thinking about it. You're only providing value and showing what you're doing. So a closed real estate is very different, because it's just being in contact with people and providing the value and constantly talking to them and being a resource. And then people make that decision. Yeah, Vinny, you told me my house is worth $500,000. This is how you're going to sell it. And we've been talking for 2 months, and you call me every Friday, and you care about my dog, and you came out to my house. You see how sick it is. I'm going to do business with you. Or, you know what, Vinny, I appreciate you taking all the time, but I'm not doing anything for a year. And then Vinny goes and tells them, I'm going to put you on a neighborhood nurture, and we're going to stay up to date with each other. And it just tears off that. So I think it's very important. Everybody knows what they're doing and where they're going, what their actionable prospecting steps are. I'd challenge everybody, between today and tomorrow, so that you have it for next week. Set up your smart plans for what you're going to put into command. And, especially for Jana and for Lee, I mean, honestly, everybody in here, because everybody has something that they're going for. Lee, you got your FISBOs, which you got to stay on top of them like white on rice. Jana, you got buyers that other people are going to be talking to them. So if you're not in their face all the time, somebody else is. Andres, you're going for expires, on top of you already having the contact with them, you got 30 other people that same day are going to talk to them. So you want to put yourself in a way where it's like Andres from Keller Williams. That's a brand name. They know you because you're talking to them all the time. Lee from the share team, you're always in front of them because somebody else told them that, they want to tour their FISBO and they're talking to them about selling instantly and you're showing them value. Jana's talking to the buyers and showing them why she's the best buyer's agent in Palm Beach County. But to do that, you got to be in front of them all the time and have that holding yourself accountable through those smart plans of here's going to be my next steps for how I do that. So I challenge everybody to kind of set that up. And we could make that the topic of next month's class of, how does it go with your follow-up on your prospecting and what smart plans did you create and, what can you push off of them? And I think that's going to put everybody in a spot that if they do that all January between prospecting and putting their follow-ups on the smart plans and milking what you're doing every day, you're going to put yourself in a position where within your first quarter, you're going to be doing production that you were doing last year in one quarter just by being there all the time, Awesome. Let's just circle back one more time. Does anybody have anything with their scripts that they want to talk about? Anything with their prospecting for daily? Any objections? Anything with creating some now business that you want to talk about before we end this?
I got
Well,
a
you did
quick
a great
one, Ben.
job. Thank you.
Hey,
What was
Ben,
that?
I got a quick one.
Yep.
Has anyone on here been successful with Facebook leads?
Now that Betty left, Betty has been successful with some Facebook leads. I would suggest shooting her a text if you have a specific question. I know Dan's the one that kind of set up the template for the Facebook ad, but I know she's got some good stuff that came out of some Facebook leads.
Okay, I'll reach out to her. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else with anything? No? Awesome. Well, listen, it's always awesome to talk to a room full of producing agents that are doing their jobs. There's, we have the best career in the world. We get to go sell houses all day and just determine our own destinies, and we work for the best company in the world. So there's nothing better than that. We're definitely going to set something up for next month. So I'll have the topics for that coming out a little bit later this month. So awesome. If anybody ever has any questions, prospecting, scripting, anything, you could call or text me. You could call or text Vinny, who's always in his office. And let's kill it. Let's be the #1 Keller Williams in South Florida.
Yep, I love it.
All right, guys, have a good one. Go out there and go get it.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Larry, can you hear me? I need you to like leave the Zoom or else I can't get the recording, please. Hello? 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 Larry? Where did you abandon yourself? How are you still connected? Is there any way to force quit Zoom? This is nice. Has anyone seen Larry? He's on my Zoom and he won't get off, so I can't start another one. And he's not like listening to me.
Because you have to just call him on his cell.
I don't have his cell phone, or I do, but can you help me?
Okay.
Can you just tell him to get off Zoom? I think he's muted and all sorts of, he needs it. And I tried kicking him off and then it made him host. Okay.